Hello and welcome to another episode of The Second Look. I am a very hungover Dan Austin. I am joined by a mercifully sober and fresh Dan Morgan and Adam Melia to talk about the top of the league Reds, the 91 points Reds, the Reds that beat Huddersfield by 5-0 at Anfield last night. And Dan, it was just brilliant. It was just brilliant to be there. Loads of people are stressed about the title race, completely justifiably. But I'm really disappointed that there's only 2 league games left because they're just so good and I love watching them and I don't want it to stop.
There was definitely an air of that last night, wasn't there? The let's just get in here and watch these one more time and as many times as we can until, you know, we have to have a break from football, and it's got that feeling to it, and you know that gets furthered by the fact that we get a goal in the first few seconds of the game and everyone's just in a great mood around the place, and there is just I think there's an appreciation around Anfield for them, and I think that you're seeing that at the end of the games now as well. You know, more people are staying behind to have the little moment with Klopp, but also to, you know, show the team their thanks and their gratitude. And I think no matter what happens now, I think, you know, you'll see that times 100 after Wolves at the end of the season. You know, you'll see just an outpouring of gratitude towards this team because they've given us an unbelievable football season, and we can't ask for any more from them.
Adam, it was basically finished as a contest after 16 seconds, which is incredible. I don't think anyone thought that Huddersfield would score a goal, never mind equalise at that point. It was nice, I think, to have one where basically we were all relieved so early on. The game was basically won from when it started because we've had quite a lot recently that I've really enjoyed where we've had to go to places and sort of be patient and get a late one in the second half, but it was nice to do a sort of Man City and just have won the game very early, relax about it, enjoy the game, no stress.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good point, and hopefully they're as annoyed by that goal early on as we've been by their early on goals. I don't really know what their mentality is like, what their fans are thinking, but to be honest, it's like the archetypal thing I've been saying as a joke, that what I'd like to see from a match is us to score early on and then keep scoring every 10 minutes. It almost was that, wasn't it? until the other team decided they can't be bothered. But it was a more relaxing, and actually it kind of got more fun as it went on. I thought the atmosphere kind of, after the early goal, I think everyone's heads went a bit like, you know, we because as you say, that's sort of it, like the game's done, and like the team kind of were playing like, I don't know, it was almost one where, like a Sunday League thing, you need to say 0-0 lads, it's 0-0 because everyone's heads was a bit kettled because of how early we'd scored, and but yeah, I think that they really settled into the pattern of play. I thought Huddersfield did their bit to make it an interesting evening, and as I say, I just think by, you know, sort of halfway through the second half, all the songs were coming out. It felt like that kind of Friday night carnival atmosphere thing, because to be honest, I had my worries a little bit that it was because we've had this fixture on the horizon, haven't we? And it's been like, since we knew it was going to be a Friday night, it's been like, imagine that, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be like a jungle, and I think probably City's result meant that to start with it wasn't like that. I know I felt like I probably need to have a few pints, to be honest, because I did feel a little bit flat after City's game. But I think that's just how we are, and I think and it's daft really, because after we win, I'm happy. After City win, I'm not happy. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? But I don't know why I'm sort of expecting it to be different every time. But yeah, it was what the doctor ordered, and it was exactly what we'd kind of said. You know, let's do what we can. All we can do is keep winning, but that sort of win is an extra one. I think it's not necessarily, because I'm not a big. I think it's really unlikely that the goal difference is going to be a thing anyway. But I think that the psychological goal difference is a thing, and so that was a good one. That was a good sort of win, and exactly what you'd say you wanted from last night.
Dan, after it was won so early, the whole thing could have just been an exercise in energy conservation, really. Liverpool, 1-0 up in the first minute. The plan could have been, well, let's just score a second and then treat this like a game of keeping possession. We don't exert any energy. We take, the best lads off. Mane and Salah, we'll give them a rest, even a half time, whatever that would be. But they didn't do that, and I think it sort of fits into what Adam was saying about us enjoying it so much and just having loads of fun. They just looked like a group of lads that just really wanted to play footy together, have a good time, score some goals, have a laugh with it. I think you saw that in some of the celebrations as well. And that's brilliant that we're all on the same page in that regard, because as much as, yeah, you know, we're probably going to be watching City on Sunday, stressed out of our minds about it. But when Liverpool play, everybody, whether it's supporters, players, staff, just feels like they're having a great time. And if you keep doing that, you'll end up somewhere good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Liverpool, in terms of the way they played, especially after the goal, I think it was a little bit third gear throughout the game. But I think what you've seen, and this probably goes with how they've evolved as a side under Klopp, is I think it was embodied by Keita in a way. They know when to press. They know when to look to turn over. They know when to try and transition and break on Huddersfield. And that is, you know, that's light years from where we've come. You know, this isn't a team who feels like they need to get to 3, just so they need to feel safe within themselves. This is them going through the gears and saying, all right, we'll pick and choose our moments when to score. We know we can get another couple after the break. If they have to defend at certain times, which they do for 10 minutes after we score the first goal, absolutely not a problem. And it's more the fact that everybody gets to play the part within that. And it's not just a thing of, okay, well, you know, this has to be a midfield thing or a forward 3 thing. You know, everybody's controlling the game as a whole, and that results over 90 minutes in a 5-0 victory. You know, you get the feeling that Liverpool last night very much toy with Huddersfield throughout the contest, and it's a case of by the time this is over, you know, we'll have done things from 0 to 90 on our terms, completely on our terms. And to do that in the Premier League game, I didn't think that they were that bad last night, to be honest. I can see why they've gone down. The areas in which they lose the ball over the pitch are criminal. You know, the way they get turned over in possession and get counters on against a team like us especially is, you know, you just can't do it. But in terms of actual technical ability, I thought they were all right. I didn't think they were that bad. They didn't lay a glove on us. But in many ways, for us, I think it was the perfect game in the lead up to Wednesday. And there was a guy by me in the Kop who, when we were 1-0 up and we were on the back foot a little bit, he went to his mate, can't play like this on Wednesday, or they'll get done in. And I was like, well, they're obviously not going to, mate, Hardy. That's the plan. You know, that's why they are cruising through the game in what I would call third gear, and you don't have to break that through the game, and it's fine. Like I say, I think it's the perfect build-up for us. I think we do get to conserve energy over the pitch throughout the game, and the subs help as well.
Adam, Dan mentioned Keita there. I think his goal comes from the fact that Huddersfield is so worried about our press from kick-off that the ball goes back to, I think it's Hogg, and he just totally panics. He doesn't know what he should be doing with it. They don't react to it at all. They know that Liverpool do that. They know that Keita does that specifically. I've got a few statistics on him. Again, he made the most tackles of anyone on the pitch. I think that's the 4th match in a row he's done that. He got 4. He had the highest passing accuracy of any outfield player on the pitch with 92. To me, he just keeps us ticking over so much. He's not doing spectacular things that people expected from him based on his YouTube clips or the highlights that the team from the Bundesliga on BT or whatever it is. But he just gives the opposition no peace whatsoever, not a moment to just have a rest. And he can do that against Huddersfield, but we've seen him do it against Porto, against Chelsea as well, against real top level teams. And I think he's just settled in now and looks like a real sort of, you know, someone you can build that trio around. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I think my favourite thing about his performance last night is how he was fouling people. Because when we talk about, and a few people have said it now, he's starting to look like the player we seen on YouTube this time last year, or however long ago it was when we were watching the clips. Is the thing that was missing is that sort of fiery thing. But I think he was booting a few of them last night, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And it's funny because you can still, not particularly in anything that he's doing off the ball, but you can still see how there's slightly less control, I think, when we're off the ball. So after we scored last night, there was a bit of a mad few minutes, and after we went 2-0 up against Chelsea, there's obviously that completely mad 5 minutes. And it's a similar sort of thing where it's like you can see that we haven't quite got the sort of vice-like grip for a bit, and I do think that's something to do with Keita being there and probably us pushing on for more. But I do think that you can see exactly why he's taken some time to get into the team, but you can really see now how good he is at both mainly on the ball, and it's really getting there, I think, off the ball as well.
Yeah.
I wonder whether he was worried about kicking people. I wonder whether his reputation preceded him a bit, and he knew that the kind of, that we've got in our heads, or opposition players or the refs have got in their heads about this sort of hot-headed lad and who's had 6 red cards, whatever, and he's reserved that until now, but. I think he can take it up a few gears. He's not looking like a red card risk to me, and I think he could be a bit more aggressive even.
I think he's really got a good knack of winning the ball back, almost a little bit Firmino like.
Yeah.
He sort of hangs in the tackle, and he's got eyes on the ball firmly. I've never seen him be reckless in a challenge, but I think what you're seeing now is off the ball, like you say, he's getting it. He's knowing when to go. He's knowing when to press, he's knowing when to move into those areas.
It's not easy, is it? It's not easy.
It's not, and you've seen it happen with Chamberlain, Robertson, Fabinho earlier on in the season, and I think there was a time throughout the season where people were running past Keita. He looked at me at times like he wasn't entirely sprinting at times. I didn't know whether he was carrying something. He goes down Napoli with that back injury, and I didn't know whether that was something that was lingering with him.
He looked weaker and slower than what we're seeing now, didn't he?
Yeah, but it just looks like he's got it. It looks like it's clicked a little bit.
Right, that's all we've got time for part 1. We're going to cross to Neil now, who's had a look at how both teams set up and how Liverpool managed to so comprehensively dismantle Huddersfield.
Dan Austin absolutely rocking the New Balance there. Great to see him buying into the values of Liverpool Football Club. For Dan Austin, this means more. Listen, this is the shape of your tactics board today. This is what we're looking at. It's approximately the average positions from the game. A couple of interesting things before we move ourselves along. Mane and Salah really narrow again. It's the second game on the bounce, really, where it's been almost, you can make an argument in terms of how it plays out, a little bit more of a diamond. Sturridge struggled to get into it in a few senses, but he occupied a lot of stuff around here, and he had to be dealt with, and that allowed these two to come right the way in and play pretty narrow in terms of where they tend to influence the game. Other things to sort of go through and point out, listen, the fullbacks, everyone's raving about them, and rightly so. Kept the position really, really wide. Keita and Henderson very much in advance of Wijnaldum in amongst all of this. Huddersfield didn't really have a plan in terms of how to stop Liverpool. At least it looked that way, but then they do concede as a matter of seconds. But I think that was their outlook, really. It was, for them, this is very much about getting ready for the Championship. There's very little point to turn up to Liverpool and trying to do something where you end up playing 5-2-3, as we've discussed other sides doing, because there's actually not much in the game for you in terms of just stopping Liverpool. The Huddersfield manager wants to learn about his players. So what will he have learned? Well, if you take away the fact that the way they give the ball away is absolutely criminal, and the fact that they're really poor in both boxes, you might have learned that they're all right, There's a couple of patches in the game where Huddersfield play some quite good stuff, push Liverpool back, look after the ball quite nicely in a couple of little sort of phases. The midfield's relatively tidy in there, not much gets through them cheaply. I think they're knocked sideways when Oxlade-Chamberlain comes on, but then at that sort of point they've been running around for 70, 80 minutes, so that has a knock-on effect. For me, it's fascinating. I mean, what do you do if you're the Huddersfield manager? It's not an easy one, and then anything you have planned is just completely taken from you in a matter of seconds. For me, if I say they're a good side, they're not a good side in comparison to Liverpool. They're not in Liverpool's league anymore, and there's questions as to whether or not they ever were. But they may well be arming themselves to be a tidy enough Championship side moving into next season, able to challenge for a playoff place or maybe even come top 2. But they do need to sort out both penalty areas.
Thanks very much to Neil for that. It very much does mean more. Adam, I want to talk about Sadio Mane now, because he gets another 2 headed goals. He could have 3. He's unfortunate to hit the post early in the second half. And this is becoming a trend now. He scored headed goals against Chelsea and Bayern Munich as well. Do you think that he's almost being underrated in that regard by opposition defenders? I think his speed and movement allows him to beat them to the ball and stuff, but are they basically just being a bit lax in leaving him there? He's sort of brought this out of nowhere really in the last month or so.
I know, I was trying to think about whether it is a new thing. It feels it, but the 2 things I saw, well, obviously the first thing was what Klopp said. He's like, I haven't seen someone jump so high since Air Jordan. But someone else said on Twitter that he's heading like peak era Rooney. And I think he is. I think I love his techniques. It's almost like he's too high and then stooping to get more power into them. The second one especially is such a good header. I mean, we're right behind that, and we've got a great angle of seeing it flying into the corner, and a great ball from Henderson too. But yeah, it goes with his whole thing. Like the thing I love about Mane is he's a warrior, and like he's the one when chips are down, and I think big warlike headers is a great string to your bow, isn't it? If you're that sort of player. I was thinking yesterday about how he's scored in. Last year he scores in every round, and including the final, doesn't he, of the Champions League? And I think he might be doing that again this season. He scored at Bayern Munich, scored at Porto, got Barcelona coming up. Virgil's also done both of those things, by the way.
That's something to look forward to, Dan. Virgil and Mane guaranteed to score in the new camp in the week.
All they need to do now is have a fight the night before. That's sorted.
Simon Mignolet getting bailed out by Klopp from some sort of Spanish nick. I want to talk about Robertson as well, because he's the one who set up Mane's first goal. It's a brilliant ball, the one for Salah that he puts basically between, I think it's two Huddersfield defenders, the goalkeeper trying to come out and right into the path of Salah's run. Makes it look so easy, but it's extremely difficult. And you know, in my lifetime, Liverpool have had some really talented full-backs, but absolutely none of them with the consistent level of output of this fella. He got 2 assists last night, 4 key passes, that's more than anyone. He's superb.
He's an absolute sponge. You know, you can just tell he craves the knowledge of the people in the club, the people around him, the coaches. He's still learning, you can see that. I mean, you can see at times in the game, I think he does try and conserve a little bit of energy. I think there's one on about 50 where Alisson rolls it out to him. And that thing with him in second half where he just bowls into like 30 yards of space and he's got us up the pitch. He does pick his moments a little bit. You can tell he's maybe thinking, all right, you know, got 2 massive games on the horizon, we're 3-0 up. And that is just game intelligence as well. But the thing of picking your moments when to go means that he is there to set Salah up for the 5th, like you say. And his delivery, his output is absolutely second to none, but his positional sense as well for me. You know, I think what's really improved about him this season is the amount of times we've been counted on in games, and he's there, you know, at the back post, he's there as the last line, he's there coming in to help the centre halves with you know, a cross that can come in or a through ball or stuff like that. I think he's just, like I say, I think he's just a sponge in terms of wanting to learn more and the development of him from the player we signed to the player now. I think he's indispensable for us.
He's one of our 4 or 5 captains as well, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got that many now, and you can see it. You can see the same sort of combination of carrot and stick that you get from Virgil. You know, he's encouraging Trent or he's bollocking Trent. You know, it's the same thing. His mentality is just, it's fantastic.
I think he's one of them as well. I think he will be absolutely cherishing the prospect of playing Barcelona over 2 legs as well. You can tell it's, you know, things like challenges like this to him are things he relishes, things he looks forward to. They're not a thing that will faze him in any way, I don't think.
Adam Trent was mentioned briefly there, and he plays a stupendous pass, frankly, for the first Mohamed Salah goal. It's brilliant, and again, he makes it look like it's the most comfortable thing in the world, the most natural thing for a full-back to be able to do that. But he's got the passing range of someone who plays much higher up the pitch. He obviously does a lot of the time for Liverpool, but if you go through the other 19 full-backs in this league, I don't think any of them are capable of playing that pass that he does, and he does it on such a regular basis. That's 23 assists now between the 2 full-backs in this league season. I don't think there's a pair in the world that come close to them, and as individuals they're probably in the minimum of say the top 3 in their respective positions.
I agree. I was looking at him last night and thinking about like how he's still got some physical development. You know what I mean? He still looks kind of his age, doesn't he? But the passing, I think I've said this before, but he did that on his debut, and I love that. Like that's the thing that he's had in his locker is that whip, and that you know, he's been compared to Gerrard and Beckham and all of these sorts of players that have got that just got the absolute sweet peg. and it's all the other parts of his game that he's added kind of bit by bit. And I mean, he's just so far ahead of what you would predict. You know, if you were making a FIFA game or something like that, you wouldn't have him as far ahead now on points as he is. But yeah, he's just brilliant, and you know, I think we are probably taking him for granted a little bit, because I think maybe we underrate him, or we're taking him for granted, one or the other, because when he's not there, I mean, it's hugely noticeable, and I think that it's probably because he is kind of maybe the side that gets picked on by other teams a little bit, and the other side is almost like it's a combination of players where Trent a lot of the time gets left on his own because he's got that delivery, and among other reasons. Salah sort of like doing his own thing is another reason, but yeah, I just I do think that we need to sort of take some time and have a little bit of a think about it, because time's running fast, isn't it? I mean, time in general, time's running fast, and it is. After being impatient for the season to finish, we're all of a sudden wanting to sort of slam the brakes on, aren't we? Because it's like, God, you just don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks, and it's one thing or the other, isn't it? And it's do or die, and that's what you want. That's the game. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, this is the golden bit. You've got the menu in front of you. You could eat anything on the menu.
The fullbacks will be interesting in the two ties against Barcelona, just to look ahead slightly, because I expect the game on Wednesday in the new camp to be a little bit conservative. I actually think Barca will do the opposite to what they've done against United. I think they'll try and sit in at home, and then they'll come out to us at Anfield. And I think where Klopp will then set us up is, I think that he can probably get Trent and Robertson to be a little bit on the leash, if you like, and not going too far and not putting too much in over there. Just keep them within the shape of the back four. I think at home is where he'll want them to be, quintessential themselves. He'll want them to be 9 out of 10 on the game, and he'll want them to be doing all things down each flank, and I think that's where I think you'll see it explode. So I expect both of them to start in both games, but I think you'll see a different version of themselves in both of them as well.
I, on the other hand, think we're going to go to the new camp and score 6.
Do you?
Yes, absolutely.
I think both teams will take a 0-0 in the new camp.
Oh, I think we're going to score plenty of goals.
The thing is, I disagree.
We can't do this now. That's for the preview show.
Well,
I know.
That's what Bayern Munich did at Anfield, as I was going to say, and then it wasn't great, was it, for them? Didn't work out great.
No, but I think they'll back themselves coming to Anfield, Barca.
Yeah. If we are going to score 6, one of the fellas that will probably get one of them is Mohamed Salah. Not in the PFA Team of the Year, Dan, but officially confirmed as one of the most important of the 100 people, 100 most important people on the
Absolutely.
planet. Gets another 2, plays brilliantly, quite frankly, celebrates it again like he's having a brilliant time. I've got a few things on him. So he gets 2 goals, he gets 1 assist, he has 8 shots, he has 5 dribbles. The shots and the dribbles are more than anyone else. He's an absolute nightmare to play against, but such a privilege to watch play footy.
Yeah, he is. He's such an intelligent footballer now, and I think he's at the point in the season, Salah, where he looks quite comfortable within himself. I think there was a little phase during the season where he looked like he was snatching a little bit, or he was a little bit desperate to get on the end of something and score and get on the score sheet. But I think he's at the point now where he's going. You've got that version of Salah where he's backing himself in every game, and what usually comes with that is at least 1, maybe 2 goals or a key input in terms of assists. And I think he does really well last night. I think he holds the shape really well, coming in off the right. I think what he's also backing himself with in the home games is that in the second half the space will open up for him, and I think he's seeing that quite a bit in second halves. He's backing himself to get one-on-one with his marker, and then from there, you see his output is. He's so strong back to goal. I mean, his core strength is absolutely unbelievable. I've seen nothing like it. People talk about Harry Kane in this league with his back to goal. Salah's twice the player, I think.
It's because he's a yoga man, core strength. There's another yoga man celebration, wasn't
like myself, Adam. Was core strength, lads.
I thought it was like a quite a last season Salah performance. There was at times where we said last season he doesn't do a lot, but he scores 2. So it's like I didn't feel like he was constantly involved last night. But I mean, he's such a threat, isn't he? And yeah, it's no criticism at all. It's the same thing you say about Ronaldo, isn't it? So it was fantastic to see him, because I to be honest, wasn't sure he was going to play with him going to New York in the week. But to see him out there, and I love that as well. That Klopp is obviously thinking about midweek kind of from his selection, but the team's so strong. I'm sure Huddersfield wouldn't have thought that we'd put a weakened team out, and that's exemplified by Salah being there and being in at times sort of within himself, but then he can play. He can play the start of both halves and a bit in the middle of the second half, and there we go.
Well, very quickly, Adam, on the team, not being quite as rotated as maybe you would be. plenty of lads who haven't had many minutes, they'd get minutes. So Sturridge obviously gets a start, doesn't do so well, but at least he's played some footy. Chamberlain comes back in, which is great to see. Shaqiri, Lovren, Gomez all get some minutes in that match last night. Last season at this stage, when we were heading towards the European Cup final, they were dropping like flies. We basically had 11 to pick from in that final. Yeah. It's fantastic that we've got so many really good footballers available as we go into, you know, the biggest stretch that I've ever seen of a Liverpool season.
Yeah. And they all, I think, I mean, Sturridge aside, and you know, it's a shame, but I don't see him offering a great deal from now on for Liverpool, to be honest. But him aside, they all did a bit as well. I think there's something there for all of them. You couldn't have written it better for you know, Lovren comes in and does great, does really well. And looks like you wouldn't mind him playing in the Nou Camp. You know what I mean? You did slot him in there, fine, absolutely fine. If he starts there, I'm sure he won't. But Shaqiri, I think, is great for the second Salah goal. He does a brilliant reverse pass to Robertson before the assist. And Oxlade-Chamberlain does an Oxlade-Chamberlain thing. Do you know what I mean? He does that little 10-yard run, and I hadn't forgot it. But when he did it, I was like,
that's what you do.
It was one of my favourite moments of the night, and I mean, I obviously love Joe Gomez, absolutely Team Gomez, and I really think we've done well, considering he's been injured for so much of the season, to do as well as we have, because he was a massive part of that. And I do feel sad that he's not a couple of weeks further on in his comeback, but it's there's no bad news. I think Klopp would say something like that.
Right, 2 league games to go. If Liverpool win both of them, did they lift the title? Dan? No.
I've said it since United away, and listen, I'm not being defeatist. I'm not throwing the towel in. I'm not giving up hope. But in my realistic opinion, I just don't see them dropping a point, and that's fine, because they're an unbelievable football team, and when they need to win games of football, they usually do. So in my humble opinion, no, and I've kind of made my peace with it, and the peace I've made with it is because I've come to the conclusion that this is just the start for Liverpool. This is not a one-season thing. This is not, you know, the one opportunity we are going to get for this. I genuinely think we will make 2 to 3 additions in the summer, and 2 months won't change the fact that we got 97 points this season in most likelihood, and in next season I think we can get 100.
So Adam, in Dan's realistic opinion, it's a no. In my giddy opinion, it's an absolute yes. I would like your yes or no, and also an adjective for your opinion, if you can give me one.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised either way. I suppose the thing is that, like I said, I think we were filming at the time, when Liverpool win, I'm happy. When City win, I'm sad. So, like, at the moment, Liverpool have just won, so I'm happy. So, but the problem is that they haven't got a lot to do now. I don't think City. They've got 2 games in 2 weeks, and you'd say, well, I think their games from Spurs to United to Burnley to Leicester to Brighton get gradually easier, probably. So the realistic person in me says that I can't really see them dropping any more points. I think they can see the task in front of them now, and it's not like, oh my God, they need to win 18 in a row. They need to win, 3.
Do you want my positive opinion?
Go on, quickly.
I am 100% certain that if we get past Barca over 2 legs, we win the European Cup.
And we've already decided that we're going to go there and score 6, so we're definitely past them, so we're definitely going to win the European Cup. And we've still got a really good shot at the league as well. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Dan and to Adam for joining me. These are probably the 5 biggest games in Liverpool's modern history. Make sure you enjoy them, no matter what happens. Loads of people from the Anfield app are heading over to Barcelona next week. There'll be loads of content from there, loads of exclusive podcasts, videos, writing, all kinds of stuff. If you don't already, make sure to go to theanfieldapp.com/subscribe. Get on the Tour Player service. It's still £5 a month. It's the best time to do it. It's it could be the most glorious end to a season in Liverpool's history. This is the best time to be on board. But yeah, thanks for watching. All the best, and up the Reds.